Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show, a podcast by SaaStock. Here we interview SaaS founders from around the world who've been there and done that, as they share the ins and outs of how they built their businesses, their operations, their path to securing investment, and more. Our mission with the podcast is to help you, the founder, learn how to scale your SaaS, maintain your well-being, and navigate the complexities of this ever-changing industry. I'm your host, Alex Theuma, and together we'll explore the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey to SaaS success. Welcome back, everyone, to the SaaS Revolution Show podcast. I am your host, Alex Theuma, CEO, founder at SaaStock, and also general partner of Future Ventures. And today I am delighted to be joined by Larry Kim, who is the CEO at Customers.ai. Welcome, Larry.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexander. Great to be here.
Good to have you. Whereabouts are you at the moment, Larry?
I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States.
Boston. Are you Boston born and bred? Has Boston always been home?
From Canada. I studied engineering in Canada.
Okay. And I think, like I mentioned, Larry, I think this is, well, certainly is our first conversation. But I felt like I knew the name, I knew the face, when I looked on LinkedIn, and there was a reason for that, right? And I think you've been pretty active online. I mean, not only is this, let's say, your second SaaS business, but I think across the social platforms, across sort of blogging, it seems that you're a pretty active guy within the space.
Yeah. Can I talk a little bit about my last business?
Yeah, we'll come to that in a second. I guess just in terms, and maybe this will feed in, but in terms of being active online, sort of like Twitter, like Medium, social, etc. I guess what is the reason for that? What have you been doing? How has that helped you, I guess, personally, but also with your businesses?
Sure. So it was just lead generation. So my last business, which is related to this, we got to a point where the product was pretty good, and sort of the constraint on what was, how do you 10x the business or whatever, how do you grow it was just GTM. And so we went really hard into content marketing, just publishing a ton of articles on tips and tricks on how to do various growth marketing tips. It was quite a publishing empire. We were, I was the top, I still am, top 6 or 7 publishers on Medium. There was a syndication of content into dozens of these news magazines and CNBC or Inc. magazine. There was it was just a content empire, and it was driving something like 3 to 5 million visitors to a website that sold online advertising tools. So you probably saw me sometime over the last decade, because we were just publishing a ton of how-to and tips and strategies and guides on various channels for marketing, like social media marketing, paid, organic, Facebook ads, Google ads, mostly online advertising.
And so we will talk about that first business, WordStream, which you exited, and I think it was 150 million on the exit, right? And you're going again with Customer.ai. And you're also, like you said, have been very heavily active, online content marketing. Outside of that, Larry, who is Larry Kim outside of I build SaaS companies and I do content marketing online? Is there any? Are you 100% doing this?
It's a big part of it. I mean, I do have 2 boys, 6 and 10. So grade 1 and grade 5, I think. That's pretty time consuming if you've ever had that experience.
Yeah, I've got 2 girls, 8 and 10.
Yeah. Similar. And one of them has autism, so it's
same here.
A lot of activities and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it makes it for me, I don't know if people ask who I am, but in terms of what do I do and what does a week look like? I work Monday to Friday. I try and get some time in, for the family, after work. And the weekends I'm exhausted. I don't really want to do anything, but obviously I do make time, for the family. The kids are also at a certain age now, certainly but maybe both 8 and 10, where they actually want to hang out with their friends on, on a Saturday and Sunday and not dad so much. So it often does give me a little bit of space to chill out and rest up and get ready again for the week ahead. But in terms of do I have any active hobbies and sailing and so on and so forth, I'm ashamed to say, or maybe not ashamed, but afraid to say I don't. So very much consumed by work and family.
I have a compound on Cape Cod. It's kind of like the area that people go to. It's quite nice, and that's that's where I go on weekends.
Chill out, unwind, refresh, reflect. Very nice, very nice. And so, Larry, you're in your second SaaS business. Let's talk about your first one a little bit first, right? So this was a business, I believe you bootstrapped, but then took some venture, and then and perhaps you can share the time scale that then you exited it, I think, as I sort of read, for about 150 million. Share a little bit about that. You know, I'd love to get some of these learnings, and like maybe even talking about why did you start the business? Why did you bootstrap initially? Why did you take venture? You know, why did you sell the business when you sold the business? And perhaps how within that, some of the key inflection points of going through growing that business.
Sure. I started out of college in my 20s. Time frame was around 2008. And initially it was just doing online advertising consulting work. And that was a great business, like still is, but like even more so then, because like I think a lot of those new channels like SEO and PPC were a little more mysterious. I think they're pretty well documented at this point in time. But that was amazing. Like you could charge, 5-10K retainers for, 10 clients. And that's a lot of money for a person to go in like early 20s or whatever. And the evolution was simply that one of scale. So it's around the time I kind of maxed out on capacity. Like you're a solopreneur. There's only so much work you can do. And I started building software automation tools to kind of automate stupid repetitive work involved with like keyword researching or, just the tasks involved in managing these campaigns. And it's worth noting that my background is in electrical engineering. I went to Waterloo in Canada. And so that wasn't like that hard. But then the light bulb went off. Like I saw other companies like raising hundreds of millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars to enter those solution spaces of like, automation of these, campaign management for, keywords and ad campaigns and stuff like this. And I just thought, what the heck? Like this is my big opportunity. Why not just sell the stupid automation tools that I was just using in-house rather than doing just a services, a straight services company. And so that was the genesis of that. And it's very helpful because you have revenue coming in, so you can staff up your team, marketers, salespeople, engineers, from the consulting business. And all the while you have like a test bed of clients that you can actually, make sure that this is having the intended effect. It was a very kind of a nice, consulting to SaaS kind of conversion. And then towards late in 2008, I pitched a bunch of, or early in 2008, I started pitching all these venture companies. It was kind of comical. I would say that it wasn't as easy as it is to do now back then, because it didn't have all the SaaS communities or the venture communities established. So it was just like emailing the front door. Like it was like hello@venturecompany.com or something like this. Like, I got about 100 meetings. 100 pitches, 7 meetings, 2 offers. Like long story short, and did a $4 million Series A in 2008 September. So that was, I actually thought we made it, but it wasn't that way. It was like, the churn was too high. The market was like too low, too down market. We twists and turns, and eventually it grew to over the next decade to be a $55 million revenue so from 2008 to 2018 to 2018, it grew to be about 55 million in revenues, 16 million in EBITDA, and it was acquired for $150 million by Gannett. That's the parent company of USA Today, and so that's like not bad. Like
It's not bad.
we raised 18 million. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's like
I'd take it, Larry. I'd take it.
that's like I own a lot of that, and like all the team members, execs, they did good. Like my investors, they made, depending on when they came in, like pretty substantial multiple of their investments. So like, and plus that 150 million was closer to 200 million because there's escrows that like earnouts, escrows, and there was like $25 million of cash on hand. Like that gets distributed to the shareholders before the acquisition goes through. So like it was pretty spectacular, and I think, well, I'll just stop here. Like, what do you think?
Well, I guess so. Look, I mean, classic. We hear a lot, like, consulting services business to SaaS. It makes a lot of sense. You had that customer revenue coming in from consultancy business that you could then, sell into for the automation tools to kind of like give you this. I don't know if I call it a head start. You've created this, right? But you mentioned there that, well, a couple of things. I guess kind of like, first of all, given that you had this income coming in from the consultancy services business, why take the venture route? Like, first of all, any regrets with that? So, I mean, like, obviously the outcome is, has been very good. Any regrets? Do you think that you could have just funded it and been bootstrapped? Because I do know, people that are doing this model, like as you said, and they bootstrapped to 10 million, shall we say, no plans to take venture. So is that something you ever kind of like reflect on?
All the time.
Yeah.
At the time, I think there was fear of missing out, like FOMO, that there were other competitors that were sort of raising money with like big name VCs, and I just felt that it was now or never. Kind of like, this is not something that I can revisit a year from now. Like there was a window. So that was kind of what I was feeling at the time. And, but with the benefit of hindsight, it could have been done with even less than 18 million. Okay. So like, I think what happens is when you raise money, it allows you to make bets that you might not have otherwise made had you been operating on the edge of a knife.
Mm-hmm.
So that that's there's pluses and minuses, like, scaling up the business before, like it had all the perfect kind of retention metrics and all this stuff. Like, so it's kind of the plus is it allows you to find those errors faster. Like you'll smash into things quicker, but it's a little less efficient because you're kind of bumping into things along the journey. So overall, very happy.
Yeah.
Lot of learnings. I could tell you one thing about this experience. It said, I certainly don't believe that you need to raise like these enormous amounts. So for my current business, like we did a Series A, Customers.ai. It was only 5 million. Like there's people who are doing like $25 million Series A's and stuff like this. Like I think that's, I wonder if you could be more efficient. Is sort of the learning. Yeah.
Okay. And then a couple of things just on the WordStream side then. So you mentioned that churn was really high in the beginning. Churn was too high and ACV was quite low. So how did you fix these issues? And then maybe that sort of leads on, like, how did you get it to 55 million, in revenue? Maybe what were some of the big bets that, because you'd taken this venture that you placed, that paid off?
Look, when there's some kind of issue with product market fit, you either have to change the market or change the product. And we had the benefit of, because I'm just capable in marketing, we had the benefit of this like enormous amount of inbound leads that were flowing through the front door. And so, when we could either, make the product more sophisticated and upmarket, or we could and change the target market to be like bigger companies, or align the product with the leads that were coming in the front door. And we chose the latter because we just thought, like, holy moly, like towards the end, we were getting like 50,000 signups for various things like every month. Okay. But this was like, of which, 2,500 are spending more than $2,000 on ads or something like this. But the point was we dumbed down the product. We just made it substantially less complicated and just made it more like a idiot proof, and kind of moved the solution space to be less about like keyword research and stuff, but like more kind of project oriented tasks to more like, ad campaign management, which is viewed as more of a kind of a ongoing task where, people, you hire agencies to do this work, and it's ongoing. And those were the two kind of changes that we did there. I thought it was a big deal at the time, but now that I think of it, it's like, well, duh, like that's of course what you have to do. Yeah.
On the, if you look at the period that you're going through the M&A, first of all, like how did you get connected with, you said Gannett, right? Like, did they reach out to you? Did you get an email one day and then they're like, okay, we want to acquire you? So I'd love to know that. And then how long did the process take? Was it I think often, and maybe it's an obvious thing that, going through M&As and it is a distraction. So how do you keep the business performing? Maybe we'll just start with that.
So the year before we were acquired, we were running a business that was insanely, cash flow positive. It was like the year that we exited, I think I said it was 35 million, 16 million EBITDA. Okay. Yeah. So we were at the board had to make a decision on like, what do we do with a company with this profile of like 55 million in revenue, or yes, some large amount of revenues and a high EBITDA? Do we, invest in new markets and then like, try to triple the product lines and then, get more share of wallet? Do we acquire businesses with this humongous pile of cash? Like, and the idea was like, well, why don't we try to get some optionality and test the market to see, what the market might value, like an asset like this. And, we hired an investment banking firm. It was Houlihan and Loki. And they ran a process. They, inquired about, the private equity companies first. And of course we got a couple, term sheets, like they'll buy anything, these guys. And then we used those kind of phony baloney term sheets from the private equity folks to kind of create some urgency around some strategic partners and buyers. And so that was, it's, look, if you're going to be selling your SaaS, like I assure you, like the people who run these processes will we'll run you through something similar like this. And ultimately there was, a couple of firm offers towards the end of it, and we went with Gannett.
I know a few, but not many, who have gone through the process, but without hiring a broker or, a banker to do that. What, like, you chose
Houlihan and Loki,
a banker to run this process. Would you have changed that in any way, or would you, like, certainly from your experiences, recommend that you have that support?
Yeah, so I would change it, but not the way that you're describing. I feel like, look, this was a spectacular outcome, like 18 million to close to 200 million if you count like earnouts and cash on hand. 18 million invested, so it's plus, it's like almost 10x whatever. So that said, like, the acquisition price was like 3 times revenues, 15 times EBITDA or something like that. Okay. So I think some of my friends have made out like bandits in their, like my other founder friends. I would say that it has to do with strategic multiples. Okay. And my one observation to share here would be, if you run the process the way that I described, I feel like it's less likely that you'll get a strategic multiple. Alternative way, I think you suggested, like, why don't you just run the process yourself? Sure, you could say like 2% on broker commissions or something like this. But like an even more strategic way of doing this would be to build out like strategic partnerships, like during the decade that you're running building the asset, and then have like and never run a process at all. Make it like so it's obvious so that they come to you, and then you can be like a kind of the reluctant, acquiree to kind of grudgingly accept some kind of strategic multiple. Like there's like within my space, marketing, sales tech, that kind of stuff. Like the most strategic valuations I see are like 10, 15, 20 times revenue even. Like so not complaining. Like it was everyone's happy. You know, in the back of my head wondering like had I forged more strategic, like even more, like we were partners with Google, Facebook, obviously, but like could we have done things with, I don't know, like Salesforce or like et cetera, like and become like more essential to those other ecosystems and created a more strategic outcome. Like who knows? It's actually one of the reasons why I started the new business, just to test some of these theories.
Like a good segue then into starting this new business. So, like, was there a gap before you decided to like go again? Like, have you taken some time out for yourself? Have you gone straight back into it?
I left WordStream in 2017, like the year before, because I didn't want to be part of the 2 more year earn out. And it's like when you start talking about like an acquisition process, like they assume that the team that's going to be like the go forward team is the team that's like at the table there, or usually. So now I just bowed out like towards the very end there. I was ready for something new though, and I think the question is time off. So no, I went straight into something else. Maybe I should have been more strategic with that. But the new company is called Customers.ai. We do visitor identity kind of resolution, which is seems quite magical. Like we can just, marketers are trying to get people to fill out forms on their website, and typically the form fill rate is like 1, 2, 3. It's like low single digits and percentages. And the idea of website visitor identification is that it can actually get substantially more of these identities without having to have people fill out the forms. And we're just using different signals and trying to figure out who the heck this is browsing your website. I think the reason why I was so interested in the space is just from the decade working with these over 10,000 customers at WordStream, like so, and agencies, and the issue was that, holy crap, like not all of them, but like most of these ad campaigns, like especially towards the end of that run, were not profitable. Like they were loss leaders. They were just doing this as a kind of a FOMO or table stakes rather than like a money making machine. It's even deteriorated more, 6-7 years later. Like this is it just gets harder every quarter, and it just struck me as there could be the one campaigns that was always working was remarketing, like the people who visited your sites, and if you ran campaigns against those people, it wasn't just a little bit better, it was like 10 times better. And so if you think about like Customers.ai, it's kind of a website remarketing capability. It's revealing identities of the folks who are in market for your products and who have heard of you, as evidenced by the fact that they're on your website. And that's kind of like the low hanging fruit of like where you should be focusing your GCM efforts, like emails, ads, postcards, like whatever. Like it should be to the squeezing more from the all roads lead to your website, and instead of capturing 3%, capture 10, 20% of them, and that was kind of the idea there. What do you think?
In terms of your GTM playbook, then are you taking some of what you were doing with WordStream and the content marketing, which was bringing in 50,000 leads or inquiries a month? Like how have you approached for this product?
I think one of the things like founders believe is that they know how to solve something because of how they solved it in the past. And I just think that the GTM playbook is just completely out the window. Like it's just changed so much, because like I started that, content marketing playbook like back in, this is like 2008. Okay. So this is almost more than 17 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So there, like I was building a website that had like, 6 million links pointed to it. You could do that. And so now this thing ranks for everything. Okay. It's not possible to do that as a new business starting out in 2024 or 2025. Like it's just not possible. Those channels have their kind of winners and losers. So it's I would say, so I think your question is like, are we just solving it the same way? And the answer is absolutely not. It's completely different. It's flipped on its head. I think it's more about like, I don't know. It's much more about an account basis focus rather than a broader like SEO PPC strategy. Like it's much more intentional to go after a very specific.
And with that, do I then assume that ACV is higher if you're doing a kind of account based focused?
Yeah, so we have the range of my last company's kind of MRR was like 199 to the most we ever sold was $999. Here it's more like closer to $500 minimum, but we have like a company that's doing like 10K, like like multiple like so that's over 100K ACV. So it's just it's definitely a market from.
And then I guess on the account based side, like maybe you can just go a little bit deeper on that and share maybe some of the things that you're doing. If you say, okay, we have a list of however many companies that would be a great fit for our products, and if we take one of those in isolation, how do you approach that product and then get that company to then get them to hopefully eventually become a customer?
Well, it's hard. You email the heck out of them. You target ads like specifically to those people, and then you try calling them. You try randomly bumping into them at conferences. You try to get intros. Like it's just a different sales motion.
And do you understand it's different? Is there, assuming it's a lengthier sales motion as well, like what would be the typical, like, okay, we've just started like emailing and retargeting them to closing a customer down?
It's variable. So some respond pretty quick, others can take 18 months. But what I can tell you is that from the point that we do kind of book a meeting and make contact, the sales cycle is very short. It's maybe 2 or 3 weeks. The reason is this product, Customers.ai, it is a killer in terms of ROI. Like if you just like one of the most profitable email flows sequences in a e-commerce business is the cart abandonment sequence. Like as much as 5 to 10% of our revenue from a business could be from one stupid email autoresponder. Okay. And it's like, Alex, you left this in your cart. Here's a coupon. Buy the damn thing. But that is only being fired for like, a very small percentage of people who are like logged in, where the cookies didn't expire. Like all these things have to happen in order for that to fire. And like we can usually like 2, 3, 4x that. Just don't change the email. Just we'll send it to more people, and that's usually like extremely ROI positive. It creates a sense of urgency, which I think is stronger than some of these products where it's based off of like time savings or productivity gains, or this is like revenue. Like there's a straight path to revenue. It's quite exciting.
Maybe just 2 final questions here, Larry. So as with WordStream, with Customers.ai, you've raised the Series A, or you've raised a round, right? But you didn't raise the Series B, C. I think with WordStream, are you planning on similarly? I'm just raising, this round and then not looking to raise the next. How are you thinking about that?
Last year we focused a lot on efficiencies. So like we've like more or less eliminated like a 6-figure monthly burn. And, like maybe it kind of goes a little bit positive or negative, or we're effectively at break even here. So we have options. My hope would be to, now at this juncture to, really get more credit before considering another round, right? Because like, I think what they want to see is like, 150% growth or something ridiculous like that. Like we just have to kind of grow into that so that we can get the credit for having executed. That's all. So yes, but it's just a matter of there's certain growth goals that we are looking to achieve first.
And in times of this being the second time round, is there like anything that's been like unexpected in being the CEO, for the second time in I guess kind of like this era or with this business or something, something that's like changed that's harder?
I think it's the last business was more of an operational thing. So, like we're just implementing APIs. So the Google and Facebook have to have these APIs for manipulating ads, and we just create an interface. And the company who wins, there's not a lot of like splitting the atom, like from a technical perspective. It's just implementing APIs in a competent way. And so whoever won the industry and we destroyed all the competitors was kind of the company that was like the strongest operationally. So like, marketing, CS and sales, GTM motions, like who had the strongest operational efficiencies. And we had an amazing operating partner, Ralph Foles, who I give him all the credit for that. This new business is what we're finding is this is much more of a kind of like a engineering, hard science type of thing. Like we kind of have to figure out, who the heck these people are, and that's not as easy as it sounds. There are a lot of companies in this space who are kind of doing this. There's like dozens of them, but they suck donkey balls. I'm telling you, like they just their accuracy of those products. It's hard to see because you're just getting all these IDs and you don't really know, like, did Johnny really visit my website or not? Like, what I'm telling you is, like, those other products are ridiculous. They have, 5% accuracy, 30% accuracy. They're not telling you that because it's hard to see. But we can kind of figure it out by testing, who did they suggest it was versus who actually purchased. And then you can kind of line them up and see if they match. So we're not perfect, but we're like, we could do like 70-80%, which is substantially more than like 5-10%, 20% correct. But each percentage that we're trying to fix, like on the ID graph and all this stuff, like it's very hard from an engineering perspective. And like when I look at my competitors in the space, like they're like, high school dropouts and, people who are selling like, what are those toxic derivatives? Like they're salespeople. Like they're. So I think you're saying what's different. It's like this is much more of a harder problem to solve from an engineering perspective, whereas the other one is more of a operational ground game.
Awesome. Well, Larry, we come to the end of the show. Thank you for sharing this, and obviously congrats on I think, as you said, like the spectacular kind of outcome with WordStream, and it sounds very exciting in terms of what you're building now with Customers.ai. If people want to reach out to you, where's the best place to find you online? If they have any questions, from what they've listened to on the podcast.
Yeah, LinkedIn or Twitter, you can find me there.
And easy at Larry or Larry Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Larry, thanks so much for being a great guest on the SaaS Revolution Show. Really appreciate your time today.
Awesome. Thanks.